Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that's very interesting. I say interesting because it's been a topic that's been going on for years, almost since the Pokemon series officially started. To meet the demands of what a lot of you all have posted on Twitter as far as what you want as content-wise on my channel, I decided to go ahead and meet a little bit of those demands by doing a discussion topic that I felt needed to be discussed a while ago. We've briefly grazed over it a couple of times in the discussions that I've had with several other Pokemon YouTubers, but I believe this is a discussion topic that we need to discuss, and this is a discussion topic that I've been trying to go at for a while now. I just didn't know how to go at it, and I believe that with the opening of Pokemon XY&Z out now, and with X and Y, the series X and Y over, it's a good segue, I guess, to go into it since Ash is approaching his 8th badge, and with that, he'll be going to the Kalos Region League very soon. So, that leaves the huge question, will Ash become champion of the Kalos League? Now, there's a lot of things to take into consideration, and this discussion topic has been the topic of discussion for years. Will Ash win a Pokemon League? We've had this question go about for a long time, ever since the very beginning, when Ash made it his dream to enter the Pokemon League in the Gotta Catch 'Em All series. His dream was to enter the Indigo Plateau and become champion. This didn't work out so well. In fact, if we take a look at his track record, we'll see that in the Indigo Plateau Conference, he made it in the top 16. In the Silver Conference, he made it in top 8. In the Evergrande Conference, he made it in top 8 again. In the Lily of the Valley Conference, he made it into top 4. And then in the Vetras Conference, he made it into top 8 again. It seems that he's usually making it into top 8 and then falling apart, with his Sinnoh Region League being the highest that he's ever been ranked before. Brock even points this out as to where Ash has come farther than he's ever gone before by making it into top 8, into top 4, in the Sinnoh region. Because of this, I decided to go ahead and talk about several of his feats and how they would tie into him being champion of this one. I would also like to take into account that in the Orange League, he actually did become champion of the Orange League and win a winner's trophy. However, the Orange League shows to be a filler-based saga. But if you want to go at it another way, it's a region that's not as well famous as the other regions that exist within the Pokemon universe. Now, when talking about Ash becoming champion, I decided to break this down into several different little topics that I'll briefly go over as of my reasoning of why I think Ash is going to become champion of this. A lot of people have had speculation, and this more or less makes or breaks whether or not they actually want to sit and bother watching the anime itself. A lot of people go into the anime thinking, okay, well, Ash lost last time, but he's entering this new league. He has to win this time. And then they wind up getting disappointed when he winds up losing. I think the Unova region was probably the most hated loss of his all because he wound up losing to a rival that wasn't very developed, nor was he very skilled. I mean, for Christ's sakes, who brings 5 Pokemon to the semifinals? Regardless, because of this was not very well taken, and a lot of fans have strayed away from the anime due to the fact that Ash just can't seem to get that champion's trophy he so rightly deserved since the 90s. I'm going over various topics that I'll discuss now. One of the topics I'll be discussing is his heroics and feats, also his Pokemon, his win streak, his rivals, Serena, the timing, Unova's ending, and his promise to Diantha. I'll be tackling all these one at a time, so if you all want to skip to certain parts, I'll probably try to leave some annotations to go into different sections of why I believe Ash is going to be champion. If you can stick around with this video, then kudos to you. The first thing we're going to talk about is his heroics and feats. More specifically, his feats in Lumiose. In the beginning of Pokemon X and Y series, Ash winds up saving Froakie as well as fighting off against the Garchomp because it was losing control. He managed to get the Garchomp under control when he climbed to the top of Lumiose Tower. This got on the news and made Ash a very famous person to the point where not only did Serena see him on the news and thought to track him down, but also Manon, the one in Mega Evolution Special, mentioned him over to Alon. So now Ash's reputation is spread across the Kalos region, at least to the point where he's newsworthy. Because of this, he's well known throughout the Kalos region as the one who had wound up saving Garchomp. What does this have to do with Ash being champion? The anime has never gone about making Ash that much of a hero unless we count the movies, or we count little episodes that are more than likely filler episodes where Ash is like a chosen man with prophecy or carries some form of aura with him. It's the first time ever that Ash has been mentioned canonically throughout the series, in which his heroics and feats have been reflected upon. I believe that this series has gone about going its hardest in order to make Ash become more of a looked up figure and more of a trainer that is a mature, heroic type shonen character rather than how he was at the Gotta Catch 'Em All series. In the Gotta Catch 'Em All series, Ash was a rookie trainer. He didn't know much and he was straight from Pallet Town and he was very inexperienced. He didn't know how to catch a basic Pokemon like Pidgey or Rattata or even Weedles for that matter. However, he came up in the X and Y series basically being a great trainer. A lot of trainers look up to him and hope to inspire to be him, and even Clement, as a gym leader, gained his courage from watching Ash do his various feats and heroics throughout the X and Y series. A lot of what Ash has done is reckless, which follows the theme of Ash that's been going throughout the entire series, but this is the first time we've ever seen Ash actually get commended for said feats. The second thing we want to talk about is his Pokemon. In this series, Ash has about 5 Pokemon. His Pikachu, obviously, and then the later on Frogadier, which is going to evolve into Greninja, then later into Ash Greninja, as well as Hawlucha, Noibat. He released his Goodra, unfortunately, and then he also has, and then he'll also have a 6 Pokemon in the slot, as well as Talonflame. With the Pokemon he has right now, Ash has 2 fully evolved Pokemon if we count Frogadier, which is going to evolve into Greninja soon. If we looked at the XY&Z poster, we see that Noibat is going to evolve into Noivern, and Hawlucha is a pretty powerful Pokemon in X and Y's metagame if used correctly, all of which are very powerful Pokemon. The last time Ash has ever gone about evolving more than one of his Pokemon into its full stage of evolution was during the Diamond and Pearl series, a series, mind you, he made it into the top 8 with. So I'd like to take that into account when going at Ash's win streak and how he's coming about becoming a trainer this far. These are very noticeable feats, and because of this, his Pokemon and how strong they are, they've been able to fight off against Mega Evolved Pokemon, Fully Evolved Pokemon, and hell, they've even fought off against Legendary Pokemon in this series. His Pokemon more than likely have what it takes in order to win him the Kalos region trophy. Next, we'll talk about Ash's win streak. In the course of Pokemon X and Y, Ash has had a lot of battles in this series. This series has actually gone as really far to make sure that Ash has had a lot of battles with various trainers. And I gotta say, his win streak is looking pretty sweet. Other than the fact that he lost against Viola at the very beginning of X and Y when he challenged her, and the fact that he lost against Diantha and the kindergarten trainer at the very beginning of Pokemon X and Y, Ash hasn't lost a trainer battle yet. He's beaten every gym leader he's challenged. He's beaten all of the trainers. He's beaten Tyrino in their official Pokemon trainer battle. He beat Trevor. He's beaten basically every other trainer that's come about him. Ash has had a win streak going for a pretty long time. A lot of people like to think that his Talonflame lost against Moltres when it wasn't really an official battle. It was more of a we gotta defend ourselves from getting killed type of deal. But the fact that he was even able to fight off against Moltres has to be commendable within itself. Ash's Pokemon and him have done several feats that have been proven to be amazing, and against all of the gym leaders and trainers he's battled off against, he hasn't lost yet, so he's going on a pretty decent win streak as of yet. The next thing to talk about is his rivals. Tyrino, Trevor, Shauna, as well as Sanpei and the Baron. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Sanpei is another trainer that wound up beating Ash, but Ash made a turnaround. And he hasn't had an official battle with Sanpei yet, but it does show that he's battled Sanpei and is more or less on the same level as him, and will probably be stronger than him thanks to Greninja's evolution to Ash Greninja. But taking that into account, Ash has a pretty sizable amount of rivals in this series. While they're all not as great or as memorable as, say, Paul, or impactful, they do all show to look up to Ash. Shauna isn't an official rival of Ash's, she's more of a rival of Serena's. However, we do like to take into account that each of these rivals look up to Ash. A lot of these trainers make Ash seem like he's the more powerful, the more mature, and the more level-headed out of all of them. Each of the rivals here look like they're growing to inspire to be what Ash currently is right now. Even when we actually look at them, like Shota, Trevor, and Tirino, the three trainers confirmed to be getting badges, they all seem to have less badges than Ash does. Ash beats them in all of their trainer battles. Ash winds up showing to be a step ahead of each of them, and because of that, he shows to be a much more competent trainer in this series rather than in the Gotta Catch 'Em All series or any other series prior to this. When it came to rivals in all the other series, it seemed like they were all one step ahead of Ash, and he needed to climb that mountain in order to catch up to them at the very end. Whereas in this series, Ash shows to be so competent, he hasn't lost to a single rival yet with the exception of Sanpei. He's been able to thoroughly defeat all of his rivals in regular trainer battles with no problems whatsoever. Now for one of the big ones, Serena. Now I know what you all are thinking, what does Serena have to exactly do with Ash becoming champion? Well, out of all of the female companions that they have picked in Pokemon, all of the female companions have goals and dreams to aspire to, usually, that cause them to all leave Ash afterwards. However, Serena is a bit different. Serena does have a goal in the form of a contest performer, and she, much like the rivals and trainers I've talked about before, looks up to Ash as well. However, Serena has this one big major thing going for her. She admires Ash, canonically. In the canon of the series, Serena shows to have a crush on Ash, which means she's more than likely the biggest candidate for being Ash Ketchum's love interest. Thanks to this, it would be more than likely that if Ash wins, he'll more than likely settle down with Serena in terms of how to end the series off. We talked about this a while back in an XY&Z discussion that I have with KG and the others, but it's worth saying that I'd like to think that Serena would be the biggest candidate for being Ash's romantic interest once things are all settled and done after Ash wins the Pokemon League. I'll tackle this subject a little later, but Serena's is the bigger candidate here, so I wanted to go ahead and take out that as one of my large assumptions for why I believe that Ash will become champion. Now we're reaching our next topic, the timing. I know what you all are thinking. What does the timing have to do with anything about Ash becoming the Pokemon League champion? As you all know, Pokemon is reaching its 20th anniversary. Pokemon will be 20 years old soon. And because Pokemon will be 20 years old, there's a lot of things to really take into account here. What I mean by this is that since Pokemon is 20 years old, a lot of the viewers that are watching it will no longer be the exact same age, obviously, as they were when they started watching the series. We are coming into a new generation of people watching the series. Those of y'all who followed Ash all the way up to this point would know all of the endeavors he's had to go through when becoming a Pokemon trainer. This means that we as a whole have been sitting through 20 years of Ash just doing stuff. What better way to go ahead and end the series off with a 20-year cap and then starting anew with, a new protagonist. Something that I believe none of the fans will have anything against, at least at this point. Ash is a good trainer and all, but I think a lot of viewers are kind of sick of him not getting his well-deserved trophy at this point. He's gone through a lot, and I believe that the Kalos region is the best representation of Ash and the most deserving to win the entire league. Due to the fact that he's battled at his best, and like I said, a lot of years have passed within the series. So for 20 successful years, Ash has been going at this. This will be the most successful way to go ahead and end his journey off as a Pokemon trainer. With 20 years finally passing, Ash winning the gold would be his final step to becoming a true Pokemon Master, or at least one of the biggest steps to becoming a true Pokemon Master. If anything, they could make a side series focusing on Ash challenging the Elite Four, or maybe even a champion or two, and somebody challenging him in the other series as a final boss, like a champion, like they did in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, to make it similar to that. Next off, we're focusing on Unova's ending. As you all know, the Best Wishes series is a series that came right before the X and Y series. One of the most important things to note is the fact that in the Diamond and Pearl series, as well as the Best Wishes series, two series that come right before the XY series, focused on what rank Ash was in the Pokemon League. What I mean by this is when Ash made it into the top 4 of Brock states, this was the first time that Ash has ever made it into the top 4. Brock is the only one who really can say this information because Brock has been with Ash for basically the get-go. He's known the rank of Ash's league matches for a while now, ever since the beginning, so he knows what ranks Ash has been through. And with Ash making it into the top 4 in the Sinnoh League, and then making it into top 8 in the Best Wishes League, or the Unova region, he knows that he has taken quite a fall. The other thing to support this is the fact that when Ash made it home on the final episode of Best Wishes, Ash's mom, Delia, asked how did he do in the league. Ash was upset and stated that he only made it into the top 8 this time. Ash has full awareness of what rank he made it into in this region. Why did the writers have a need in order to write that down? It obviously means that they have some form of plan or prediction or something planning to do with that said sentence. The reason I say this is because Ash focuses more or less on becoming a champion. He even states that he will become the champion, and this is the first time that the series has taken a lot of time in focusing on the fact that Ash wants to be champion. While Ash will say that he wants to win leagues all the time, he's been doing that since the very beginning, this is the first time the series has actually taken a lot of time in order to actually focus on Ash's dreams and ambitions on becoming the league champion. Because of the fact that they're circling around this factor so much, it is a good way to show off Ash's true perseverance, pursuits of being the champion, and ambitions through all of his adventures of being a Pokemon trainer. What better way to make him a champion than for him to actually aim for it like he said he would do? Even in the first episode of X and Y, Ash states that he wants to be champion again. Throughout most of the league, he says that he wants to be Pokemon Master. He's been saying that through the series a lot. In the Gotta Catch 'Em All series, the Johto series, the Advanced series, the Best Wishes series, the Diamond and Pearl series, all of them, he's been just saying he wants to be a Master. Master is a very vague term, whereas in the Unova region, he states he wants to be the champion. This is literally his multiple times saying that he wants to be the champion from Best Wishes ending all the way up to X and Y's beginning. He's more focused on it this time, and we can see that canonically he's more going off of the fact that he was in top 8 in the previous series and wants to correct that mistake by becoming the top in this league. The final thing to talk about in terms of this topic is the promise to Diantha. Now, Ash has been promising things to a lot of trainers and Pokemon for years. This isn't anything new. He promises stuff to a lot of people. He'll state to trainers that we may meet again in the Pokemon League. He'll say to Pokemon that he'll come back and see them again when they've grown up a bit or when he's grown up a bit. And for the most part, he hasn't been able to keep a lot of those promises. His promise streak isn't that high. However, when you really stop to break it down, the reason that I go ahead and tackle on the promise that he made to Diantha is due to the fact that X and Y actually does a good job of keeping the continuity of its series. A lot of characters that you don't really stop to believe will be reoccurring wind up being reoccurring, like Sanpei or Stefan from the Best Wishes series. Pokemon is doing a lot better job of keeping into continuity a lot of the characters that have appeared and disappeared into the series, and will bring back characters when they're actually necessary. Another thing that Best Wishes has going for it is the subtraction of filler characters. What I mean by this is that there's not just characters of the day for real and best in the X and Y series. The X and Y series has very little characters that just appear for one episode and don't appear again. This being the reason that I say that Ash will meet Diantha again like he promised, because the X and Y series usually falls back on Ash's promises. Things that Ash usually says he'll do or see again usually wind up happening. So because of this, I believe that this promise that he made to Diantha is one of the winning factors that has me believing that Ash will become champion. Also due to the fact that Ash met up against Diantha really early in the series when you stop to think about it. Ash meeting Diantha so early in the series and battling her, there has to be some form of a rematch, especially with such a pivotal character like Diantha. Ash has never fought a champion before in pure battle, except for like say Cynthia, and even then he didn't do that well. However, this is the first time he's ever come up to a champion and stated that he'll battle that champion again. Whereas Cynthia, he just states that he'll meet Cynthia again. Ash has a really strong aim to become champion this time around, and I believe that this promise that he made to Diantha is a key element in the X and Y story that will allow him to meet Diantha again and challenge her yet again. So with that all being said, I like to think that this promise is one of the core features that allows Ash to become champion in this series. So, with all of those topics I talked about, what are your thoughts? How do you think Ash will become champion in this series? Do you think Ash will become champion in this series? Or will this just be another one where Ash battles, makes it in top 4 or 8, and then winds up having to do the whole spiel over again when they release a new game? I know it's frustrating to see Ash start all over again, but one of the reasons that they did it is because Ash is a very iconic trainer that a lot of people can relate to. One of the conflicts that people have with Ash is the fact that he doesn't progress. Ash is one of the characters that just doesn't really go forward with his dream of becoming Pokemon Master. He still more or less winds up at the exact same trainer he was at the very beginning. Well, I wouldn't say the exact same, but more or less he's become very standard and a standstill character. There's not much to get out of Ash Ketchum because of the fact that he starts over almost every time. I'm not going to say starts over as he loses skill, no. In fact, I see a lot of maturity and growth in Ash's skill as a Pokemon trainer, because I always stop to look back at the first episode where he tried to catch Pidgey and completely failed by trying to catch it with his pajama shirt, and then look back on him maneuvering Froakie in order to make a strategic battle strategy in order to catch Fletchling. Two major differences in Ash's growth and how he approaches catching a flying type Pokemon to show how he's grown throughout the years. However, because of this, it scares me to believe that Ash would actually lose this league because he's come so far this time, and X and Y has definitely raised the bar way too high for him to start over now. When I say start over, I more or less mean that Ash takes out every Pokemon on his team with the exception of Pikachu and starts anew, as if nothing has really reflected upon this series from before. A lot of fans get sick and tired of this, and we lose more and more fans of the Pokemon anime each time because of this repeating pattern. I believe that the writers are starting to become aware of this, and that's why Ash more than likely is going to step forward this time. This is why they've taken a lot more maturity with Ash and decided to step up Ash's game a lot more in the X and Y as well as the XY&Z series. I fully believe that Ash can become champion of this region. With the 20 years that are passing, Ash deserves to go ahead and take a break so that we can make room for a new protagonist. A lot of things separate Ash from becoming a new protagonist due to the fact that he's named after the creator of Pokemon, Satoshi. Also, his color scheme is usually the red, white, and blue. Very reflective colors that a lot of people can pay really close eye attention to. So it would take a lot of work in order to make a new character that can actually fill the 20-year shoes that Ash has been going throughout the anime series. However, I do believe that it is possible, and if done correctly, I believe it can be a character that can meet up, or to the very least, become a character that we can all reflect upon, just like we were reflected on Ash. Ash is a childhood hero that's been going throughout 20 years of our lives. However, I believe what most people would want to see from Ash is for him to finally pass that torch. With that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. This has been Tyrone the God 3. Hope you all have a great day. Real quick before closing out here, I want to go ahead and thank Sergi for making this picture or allow me to use this picture to show off the Pokemon topic that I had of why Ash should be champion. He does really great work. I'll put the link to his Twitter on the video description. He has made plenty of great work. I think he made a really good artwork of Ash Greninja before it got released, and it's just really good. So check out a lot of Sergi's stuff. Again, thanking him for letting me use this awesome picture of Ash and his boss Pokemon. Like I said, check out the video if you haven't already. Do you think Ash will become champion? So see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.